Hi, Tiny Retail friends. So, something really big got announced recently that I think a lot of people are probably really excited about, but there's a little bit of a history lesson that I think is necessary to fully understand the impact of the new Amazon Supply Chain Services announcement. I'm going to shoot this video completely unedited and we're just going to rip. It won't be too fancy, but I think the message needs to be delivered. So, Amazon Supply Chain Services, very simply, recently announced that as a small business, you can now take advantage of Amazon's world class supply chain and distribution network. And that's pretty appealing, right? Because one of the most difficult things and frustrating things for any small business is packing, shipping, delivery, making sure that the box makes it to the porch. And it's undeniable Amazon is world class at doing precisely that. They have the network, they have the distribution, they've got the trucks. You see them in your neighborhood, maybe drive past your house 5 times a day. They are the world class example of how to get a product from a supplier to a warehouse to your front door. Nobody does it better. They have problems, but nobody does it better. So with the recent announcement that now, as a small business, you can take advantage of that supply network, particularly if you're a Shopify business, which many or most of you are if you're online, that's appealing, right? That's obvious because it has the potential to address one of the main pain points that you have as an e-commerce dealer. However, I think it's important to talk about something that happened right around the year 2000 because I think it informs what could be actually happening here. So, for those of you that don't know, Toys R Us, who I used to work for, back in, I think it was 1990, I'll check my notes here, like 1999, Toys R Us had a really awful holiday season. They couldn't ship on time. They were struggling to get orders out the door. And quite honestly, they were taking orders for products they didn't have. They were promising shipping dates that they couldn't deliver on, and the FTC stepped in, and it was ugly and it was embarrassing. After that, the FTC stepped in, and the lawsuit was settled for, I don't know, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is not a lot. Amazon saw an opportunity, and they went to Toys R Us and said, "Hey, that looked bad. We can help you." We have, at that time, Amazon isn't what they are today, but they were a world-class e-commerce dealer. They were starting to figure out things that other online retailers hadn't figured out yet. And Amazon went to Toys R Us and said, "Let us help you get this e-commerce thing right." And Toys R Us and Amazon signed a 10-year strategic alliance agreement where essentially Toys R Us would buy and manage the inventory while Amazon would handle the website, order fulfillment, customer service, and inventory would be housed in Amazon distribution centers. Does that sound familiar? Very similar to what Amazon seems to be offering small businesses today. Okay, simple enough, right? But I think it's important to remember something Ronald Reagan said. He said the most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." I think if you're a small business, and many of you are, personally, I think some of the most terrifying words that in the English language to you should be, "We're Amazon and we're here to help." So let's break down a little bit what happened in that Toys R Us Amazon relationship. Toys R Us believed, very simply, that Amazon was going to be their exclusive toy and baby partner, and Amazon was going to give a world-class e-commerce infrastructure, and Toys R Us was going to get kind of a protected online category in toys. That's kind of the deal Toys R Us thought they had. However, Amazon wanted strategic priority. They had a strong view that more assortment is better. They wanted to be a marketplace, but that's not really what Amazon got. What Amazon got was, if you don't know this about Amazon yet, you should know it. Amazon got data. Amazon is at its core a data business, We see Amazon as a website, a shopping marketplace, a logistics fulfillment partner, all these different things. But what Amazon is at its core is a data business. Now, the Toys R Us Amazon relationship broke. It worked for a few years, it worked great because Toys R Us needed to recover from the embarrassment of 1999. However, what did Amazon start doing? What Amazon always does is they took the information, data that they were getting from the Toys R Us partnership, and they started bringing in third-party toy sellers, and a lot of those toys happened to look just like the toys that Toys R Us was putting on the marketplace. Third-party offerings started to show up a little more affordably than maybe the similar or same toy that Toys R Us was offering. Why? Very simple. Amazon could see all of the sales data, all of the product data, all the suppliers' data. They were basically given a front operational seat in the entire Toys R Us business. And it was just very easy for Amazon to look at that and find out where are the margins, where are the suppliers, what are customers looking for, what supply. They saw both sides of the equation. They saw all the supply data and they saw all the demand data. Amazon could take that information, bring in third-party toy sellers, sometimes exclusive partnerships, and just completely outcompete Toys R Us on their own website as the exclusive toy partner. It was devastating to Toys R Us. And quite honestly, on the digital side of the business, Toys R Us never recovered for several reasons. One, they could no longer compete with Amazon because Amazon had essentially all of the control of from design to delivery. They couldn't beat Amazon on price. And I think more importantly, they stopped exercising the muscles of how to build a digital business. Toys R Us never learned how to build a strong e-commerce business because they handed it over to Amazon and they ate their lunch. Okay, so fast forward to 2026, and now Amazon is offering a supply chain network that's essentially, and they even say it on their website, Amazon's supply chain is now yours. Is that true? Or is the real headline, your data is now Amazon's? That's the question. So how do you get hooked up to the Amazon supply chain network? It's very simple. You go into the Shopify app store, you find I think it's called the Amazon MCF and Buy with Prime app, and you just install that app. So when you install that app, what happens? Amazon gets access to all of your customer data. Amazon gets access to your contributor data, device data. They can view and edit store data, which includes products, includes analytics, includes Shopify functions, brand settings, locations, everything. The data. So what does Amazon want? What they're getting when you install this app. So I think everyone has to ask themselves, would my business be materially impacted if I handed all of my data over to Amazon as a business, including my customer data? Now you might say, the juice is worth the squeeze. I'm not really good at fulfillment and I need to do this anyway. But do you have any concerns that your business could be materially impacted if you literally took all of your business data and handed it over to Amazon? You cannot participate in this program. We learned a big lesson back in 1999 in 2000 with Toys R Us. Many people forgot about it, but I think that history lesson is very informative as we think about how we either choose to adopt or pass on the Amazon supply chain system. Choose your own adventure.